Chuck Snow, by the way, is the co-host of Rates and Lanes podcast. He's so much more than that, by the way. You can find him on the IG at Chuck Snow CEO. Is a great place to find him, and on YouTube at Rates and Lanes. I mean that at the at sign Rates and Lanes. Really quickly, guys, before we actually dig into talking with Chuck, we want to give a big shout out to our friend Roscoe. You remember Roscoe, Dave, who has done
Yes.
so much to kind of have fun with us over here. He is hosting a 12-hour-long live stream for the St. Christopher Fund today. He is live now. You can find him on TikTok at Roscoe713TX. I would recommend going there immediately after the show here at 11 o'clock because you're going to want to listen to Chuck Snow. Dave, say hello to Chuck.
Hey, good morning, Chuck. Welcome to the show. Great to have you back with us, of course.
Well, it's a pleasure to be on the show with you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for having me.
Enjoy Rates and Lanes with you and Rico Muhammad, and really enjoy having you with us here. One of the things that you had brought up that you wanted to kind of dig into today is, and the way I'm going to put it is the loss of coffee counter culture in the industry, and how do we get back to the good old days of trucking? I saw a thing the other day. Somebody had a sign that said, "Make trucking great again." Are we that bad off right now, or what do we need to kind of pull back from the old days? I remember I used to go to those truck stops all the time. The coffee counter, the horseshoe counter usually, and had one waitress in there that was running like a rabbit all over the place, and it was a cultural mecca, so to speak.
It was when I started driving, and for probably the next 10, 12, even 15 years. So I started in 74. So up until probably I would say probably the 90s, right into the 90s, they were kind of like a beacon. They were that lighthouse for truck drivers. We could go in, stop the truck 24 hours a day. You would go up to a counter or sit at a driver's table. There would always be a waitress or a server with a big smile and usually an outlandish hairdo, beehive. And they would give you a glass of water and a cup of coffee right away. And you would break bread with other people doing the same work. And you had great conversations. Sometimes you would have lunch with 3 or 4 people you never met before, and sometimes you could run with them, or sometimes you'd never see them again, but you'd have great conversations. And between that being gone and the CD radio being gone, we've taken a huge foundation away from our culture. And that's one of the many reasons we don't have much of a culture left.
Yeah, and really quickly, before Dave got something he wants to kind of throw in here, I think it's part of the reason why our chat room is so kind of successful over here. I think that there are so many people out there who are looking for it. That's the other thing too, right? And what they're looking for is, I don't think they're looking to listen to one person bloviate. I think they're looking for a place where they can go and feel like they're part of an ongoing conversation and a chance to take a breath. I feel like that's it, Dave, don't you?
Well, yeah, and to your point, in fact, that's where I was heading to, as a matter of fact, because if you look at our YouTube page right now, the comments are just flowing through. But, those drivers aren't driving at the moment. They're doing something else. And so one guy said, "Hey, I'm going over to iHeartRadio." So what I'm getting at is that the modern person today, Chuck, will say, "Yeah, but we now have all of this online communication, so it's the same thing, only different."
No.
Well, it's really not, because I think everybody in the chat room here on our show right now would rather be in a truck stop at a counter. I mean, the social life has moved to the internet, but people are people, flesh and bone. So the flesh and bone, the visceral.
We've flesh and blown it. Kind of say we really have.
Yeah.
I mean,
so how do we do that? How do we go back? Because you take a look at the truck stops. T.A. Petro, the first sponsor trucking radio ever had was the Slidell Union 76 over east of New Orleans on Lake Pontchartrain.
Yep.
And it's now TA, of course. It's now the J. Hosty Travel Centers of America. Hey, good morning, Jay. But the I lost my train of thought. Boy, that's horrible when I do that.
Well, no, I mean, I was kind of taking it with you. I guess the question to you is, by the
Well,
way,
they're trying with the food, is what I'm getting at.
yeah, and we want to kind of talk about the food stuff. I mean, because you've got a beef on the lack of beef.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you've got.
Well, you know what? It's fast food now. This is like one of my my real peeves, not just a culture. The latest report shows that the lifespan of a long distance trucker is 61 years old.
Project-61.org. Yes.
Now, I don't have the number in front of me, but I would presume that a truck driver from 1974, either with the smoking and maybe pills and other things that were done back then, I believe they lived to be older than 61 years old. And my pet peeve with the truck stop industry is it's the only industry I know that tries to kill their customers.
Okay. Let me flip that coin over, because you're right. But the truck stops have really, on again, off again, have constantly tried to bring out fresh foods, fresh fruit, healthy choices, all of these things. Guys ain't buying it, so what are they going to do? And then we have the ELD now that has broken down everything to the second, literally, as you well painfully know. So now it's like, well, I ain't got time to sit down and eat and talk to this guy that I'd like to talk to because I got to go. So let's do the fast food. So, it's really a two-sided coin. That's the problem. Everybody's blaming 100%. The other side.
But the thing is, and this is where I want to get your thoughts, Chuck, it could just be simply correcting the hours of service to allow people more time to breathe, and to also, in doing that it would establish that connection that you're looking for, right? It's really about figuring out flexibility in these hours to let people have a chance to do the very thing that you're missing, right?
100%. There has to be. People need time to do their work and work to do their time. It's just they really do need a little bit more flexibility than what they're getting right now. One size doesn't fit all, and we have to bring back some of the rules. We have to give people a little bit of leeway because either you plan your stops, and that means you may have to stop driving an hour or an hour and a half before your shift is finished. Well, that's costing you money, but that guarantees you a parking spot.
We let that land for a second. Go ahead, Chuck. I mean, it's this thing where, and we don't tell people, the people who hire them don't tell them it's okay if you get there a few minutes later, because they're going to make you wait forever and a day anyway. That's the other thing.
Yeah, but Jimmy, in fairness, what happens is you have an appointment at a big warehouse, and your appointment is for 5 a.m., door 23. And you show up at 4:55, and they don't unload you until 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. That's what usually happens, or quite often. I shouldn't say usually, but quite often that happens. And then if you get there late, of course, you get there 5 minutes late, you get a $400 fine, and the driver gets it, because why were you late?
Right.
You had 3 days to get 1,500 miles and make that delivery.
Yeah, and go ahead. I'm sorry, Chuck.
Yeah, we need that flexibility to some degree. This is just too tight, and it's not working. That's why we're having more crashes. That's why the culture's gone. That's why more and more of the people we want don't want to do this job anymore.
I want to ask you what you're doing for Thanksgiving because, man, that just put a weight on my heart. And I want you to end the segment on a little bit of joy. Not that you've said anything untrue or anything that Dave and I disagree with, but what's Thanksgiving look like for you, Chuck, before we got to shuffle off this radio coil?
Well, unfortunately, up in Canada, we don't share the same Thanksgiving as you folks. We have ours in October.
Mm-hmm.
We celebrate that down here, too, because we love you guys so much. And I like an excuse to get some good food and have a good time with people.
A lot of Canadians have stopped going to the U.S. I'm not one of them. But a lot of them are actually afraid to go to the U.S. They're afraid they're going to have problems at customs, which I have to say one thing. Ever since this new administration got in, I haven't stopped crossing the border, but I have never experienced such open arms from customs agents as what I've had since January.
Well, it's good to know. That's good to know. I'm assuming if I'm listening correctly, it's a really positive development, a great reminder for people to get down there. If you're fine and good to go, you're good to go. Dave's got one more thing for you, Chuck.
I just want to circle back to our discussion, Chuck. Marshall sent a text down on Facebook, YouTube. Part of the problem is changing demographics in trucking. Younger drivers prefer to eat fast food in their truck. And he says, Chuck, you're right.
That's it, Chuck. We're going to get you back on as always. We'll get Dean to show up here. We'll all kind of shoot the breeze for a good hour like we like to do. Happy week of whatever you want to celebrate. We're down here celebrating our thing, but you're welcome to share in our joy. Thank you, Chuck.
I'm going to eat some turkey. I'm going to have some turkey in honor of my U.S. friends and family.
Oh, well,
that's a great neighbor. That's a great neighbor.